Now we have the privilege of hearing once again past President Chuck Keller with final remarks for the evening.
We have just gone through a symbolic changing of the guard, but we were also reminded that there's still slightly more than a month to go before the clock ticks 12. Governor Kevin, Governor-elect Terry, my fellow Rotarians and guests, Carol and I have had a wonderful experience here with you at this district conference. I don't need to tell you that you have a fine district and that this has been a fine district conference. Enjoyable in every sense. The locale, the arrangements, the programs, some innovations, some new things that we've experienced. It's been a great district conference, and Carol and I feel privileged to have had the chance to be with you here this weekend. I want to, before I forget it, I want to be sure to thank Alan and Jen Stanek, who were designated to be our aides and who've kept us headed in the right direction, and they've gotten us to the church on time, and Carol and I are deeply appreciative. I stand before you tonight as not just Chuck Keller, a past president of Rotary, but I'm here because the president of Rotary International asked me to come here and represent him. And so I want to talk to you for a few minutes tonight, turn the page back, if I may, and talk about President John Kenney, his wife June, about his theme, "The future of Rotary is in your hand." I don't want you to forget it too soon, because it's I think, a very useful reminder to all of us. I've had many interesting experiences as a speaker in the Rotary world. Sometimes they've been rather difficult. I remember the first speech I had after I was the president of Rotary. I went down to Washington, D.C. to speak at a Kiwanis convention. I was the second speaker, right after Ronald Reagan. And I went over to New Jersey one time to speak at a vocational ethics institute, and I was the second speaker after Norman Vincent Peale. And tonight I am closing the act after some wonderful speeches that you've heard already this evening. But as on those other occasions, there's nothing else to do but plow ahead, so I'm going to plow ahead tonight. And I just have a few thoughts that I want to share with you. The future of Rotary is in your hands. John Kenney chose that as his theme. And all over the world this year, he and his governors and his club presidents and the other leaders of Rotary have been reminding us that responsibility for what happens in Rotary in the future is not at the board of directors, not in Evanston, not in a lot of other places, but it rests with you. It is in our hands. Well, who are we? Well, Rotary is 105 years old. Its story is an amazing one. I hope that many of you have had a chance to read the history of Rotary, which came out just 5 years ago, called A Century of Service. I was the chairman of the committee that did that, and I'm going to tell you it's a good read. As a matter of fact, it's the best historical reference that you can possibly find to the history of Rotary. It was very well done by the author and the people who put it together. a century of service. You have to ask yourself, how has Rotary managed to survive 105 years? We got through 2 world wars. We got through a worldwide depression. We got through a 40-year Cold War. And Rotary has done nothing but grow and prosper during that entire period. How did we do it? Psychologists will tell you that the normal life expanse for a volunteer organization is 7 years. A need is perceived, a group gets together, they meet the need, and they die. But Rotary hasn't died. It keeps growing and developing, and we are now 105 years down the road. When you stop and think about it, you have to wonder, how has this happened? There are so many differences that divide us. Differences of language and religion and dress and culture and politics. We pay our bills with different money. We speak different languages. There are so many things that divide us. How have we remained together? How have we continued to grow? I would suggest to you that in the face of all of those differences, the adhesive that holds us together must be powerful indeed. As clubs, service is our business. As individuals, we are bound to service in our clubs. We are bound to service in our communities. We're bound to service in our vocations. And above all, we're bound to service in the world. I suggest to you that this is not service with what is left. It is with service above self. That is the powerful adhesive that has held us together and has enabled us to survive 105 years with a bright future ahead of us. I caution you that there is a great importance to the leadership, and you have heard of the changing of leadership that's planned in your district, and you're aware of the changes of leadership that will occur at your club. You know, in Rotary, we've agreed, the leadership of Rotary has agreed for many, many, many years that the most important Rotarian is not in Evanston or at the district level. He's the club president. That's the unanimous agreement of the leadership of Rotary for as long as I can remember. The most important Rotarian is the club president. The district governor, he's the bridge that binds the local clubs to the rest of the Rotary world. The president of Rotary International, oh, he's got a job. He guides the good ship Rotary. He leads the board of directors. He helps fix our direction. When I went to Evanston to become the president of Rotary International in 1987, I'll tell you, I had a lot of plans for the year, just like Terry does. But they sat me down and they said, we've got a different plan for you. You're going to go out and raise $120 million for Polio Plus. Well, that was really something in view of the fact that the most Rotary had ever raised up to that point was $23 million. And I'm going to raise $120 million? On top of that, just as I took office as president, the rules changed as to membership. Women became eligible for membership in Rotary, and I had the job of going around the Rotary world and assuring many Rotarians that this was not the end of Rotary.